Hey guys, today we are gonna see how to download videos from the websites which do not provide a button to download them directly. Sometimes it can be easy, sometimes it can be tough depending upon the streaming method used by the website. That's why we are gonna take two different examples and try to see how to download videos from those websites, that too using the Python programming language. So without any delay, let's get started. Okay, so let us start with our first example, which is related to a website called lynda.com, which contains a lot of tutorials and all. So they have some videos. So let me just click on any video preview. So here opens a particular video. So now let's say I want to download this video. So how can I download it? Right now there is no download button here, right? So let's say if I want to download this video, what I can do is that I can open my Chrome inspector, or if you have Firefox, then you can open Firefox inspector. So all you have to do is you have to just right click and click on inspect, or you can simply do Ctrl+Shift+I shortcut keys and this particular inspector will open for you. So now what you can do here is that you can just click on this particular button, which lets you hover around any element and then you can get its HTML data. So let me just click on this particular element and hover on this particular video screen, and look at that, I get my video tag. So here is my video tag. So this video tag contains all the information about this particular video. So the most important thing that we need here is this particular attribute, which is called source attribute. So source attribute tells us that what is the source of this video, like where is this particular video file actually stored, and that is what actually this particular video player is doing. It is asking for the video from that particular source and then showing it to you. So let's say if I just copy this particular source URL and then I open it in my browser just like this, then look at that, the video is running here as well. So it means that this is the actual URL of this particular video. So what I can do now is that I can simply copy this URL, and in Python I can simply import requests library. And now, since this is a large video, or simply the video files can be huge, it's nice that you download the video in chunks, which means in small parts. So for that you can just do chunk_size, let's say 256. So you just want 256 bytes at a time to be downloaded. So basically you will be making multiple requests instead of a single request. So chunk size, let's say, is 256. So what you do is you do r equal to requests.get, and let me specify the URL as well, which is the video URL. So you just specify the URL, and now r equal to request.get URL, and also you say that stream equal to true. So what this will do is that it will tell the lynda.com servers to maintain a connection with the request that I'm making and keep on sending me the data as I keep on asking for the next and next parts. So that is what is going to happen here. So what you can do is that with open, let's say the name of the file is lynda.mp4. So with open lynda.mp4 in write binary mode as f, what we do is for chunk in r.iter_content will return you an iterator which can let you keep on asking for the different parts of your video one by one. So r.iter_content will require your chunk size, so that chunk size will be asked at a time. So r.iter_content chunk size equal to chunk size, and then you get that chunk and then you write that chunk inside your file. So in this way the whole file will get downloaded and it's done. So we have downloaded the file, and let's check out our desktop. So yeah, we have got that file, and now we can run it in our own VLC media player or any kind of media player that you have. So in this way you can simply download a video from any given website, and it's as simple as that. You just find out the video tag, then you find out the source attribute, you take that URL and then you pass that in the request library, and then you simply download that file. So it is as simple as that, and this is a very simple example. But now let's go on to the second example. Okay, so for the second example, let's take this website called IPLT20.com. So for those who do not know, it's a website about Indian Premier League, which is an Indian cricket league. So now we are gonna just click on the video section and try to see any particular video. So let me just click on this particular video. And now let's say if I want to download this video, so what will I do again? just like lynda.com, I will just try to open my Chrome inspector and try to hover around this particular video, and I will get the video HTML tag. So now in the video HTML tag, let's try to analyze what's going on here. In the HTML video tag, we have a source attribute, and in the lynda.com example, that source attribute actually referred to a particular file on their server. But right now here we are seeing something different. We are having the source attribute as blob colon, and then there is some URL which is https iplt20.com / and then some random characters. It's quite weird because it does not represent any particular MP4 or any kind of format of a particular video file. It is simply different. So if I just try to copy and open it, let's see what happens. Look at that, we are not getting any file. It is saying simply that your file was not found. So what is actually happening here is that we are using something called blob. So what is blob? B-L-O-B. So blob actually represents a file-like object for raw data. So basically in your JavaScript, you can use a blob class for creating some objects which represent file-like objects for any kind of raw data. So if you do not need to save your data in a particular file actually to represent any particular file object. You can simply create a blob object. So basically if you have some kind of binary data, let's say of a video file, and you want to show that video to the user, then what will happen is that to show any particular video like this, you need to make an HTML video tag, and in that you need to provide a source attribute. And in the source attribute, you need to provide a particular URL to a particular video file. But now, since that video file is actually in the form of binary data in your current memory, you do not have any actual file, then what you can do is that you can use that blob object, you can write it something like this, and now you can simply show that binary data in the form of this particular video as we are seeing here. So blob simply lets you provide some kind of pseudo URL for your video file data, not your actual video file, but your video file data. So blob will represent your video file, any kind of data which represents a file like object, and then you can use it in the form of a pseudo URL to represent that particular file object. And why do we need that? Because video tag in the source attribute requires the URL to a particular file, right? So that is what is happening here. And now what we need actually is that we need to download this particular video file. So in order to download this video file, we need to find where is that binary data coming from. So this particular thing here is of no use to us. What is of use is how is that binary data coming, which is being represented here using the blob URL format. So for that, I'm just going to click on network and try to see some network activity. So let me clear everything which was here before, and now let me start the video. Okay, so the video has started, and let's check out what happens if we just move the video a bit forward. Okay, so look at that. We made a request to some URL which is this. So this URL is actually pointing to a file whose extension is .ts. So this is a file whose extension is .ts, and let's try to just open it. Right now we do not know anything about it. Okay, so let me just open it like this. Okay, so some file got downloaded. Its extension is ts. So let me just try to check it out in my desktop. So on my desktop, look at that. It seems like I have downloaded the file. It's a video file. But the thing is that it is only 10 seconds long. So that is interesting that I have just downloaded 10 seconds of my video file by clicking on this particular URL. So let me just start and see more of this video. Okay, look at that. We got another TS file. So here is another TS file. So let me just copy this URL and open it again. Let's see what happens this time. So I just used another TS file, and here it is. Let me open it. Okay, so it is another 10 seconds of video. So what is happening here is that multiple calls are made to get multiple TS files. TS files have some kind of binary data. If you just try to see preview, look at that. This represents some binary data about your video file. So that data is being used to generate this particular video. So actually you do not know the actual URL of the MP4 file. but you are simply asking for multiple parts of that particular video file, which are TS files, and then you are getting the data. That's quite interesting, right? So let us try to understand about it in a bit more detail. Okay, so let me start with a very simple scenario. Let's say you are the client and here is the server which contains a video file, and now you want to have that video file. So what you can do is that you can simply ask for that video file. So you will simply download that video file and then you will simply run it. But there is a problem with this approach. The problem is that you have to wait for the complete video file to get downloaded and only then you can watch it. So if you have downloaded a particular part of that video file and a particular part is left to be downloaded, and in between the internet connection is lost, then you cannot watch any of the video. So that is a big problem, right? A good solution will be that you just keep downloading some chunks of that video which can be played on their own. Basically, I mean that I want to get some independent parts of that video one by one, and I just keep downloading them one by one, and as soon as I get first part, I simply start watching it, and as soon as I get another part, I just append it to my video and I just keep watching ahead and so on. So that is what I actually want. So for that, what we have is something like this, which is you have a video file, and in your server what you do is that you encode it, and by encoding I mean that you convert it to some other format which is a bit more like a compressed format. So you compress it so that your video can be transported easily. So that is the first thing. Then that particular transport stream that you just created is now passed through a segmenter. So what will segmenter do is that it will segment your complete transport stream into multiple small parts, which we call as TS file. TS also means transport stream files. So you have multiple transport stream files for a single video file. So a TS file can be about anything from 2 to 3 or up to 10 seconds of your video file. That depends upon you. So you can have multiple TS files from a given video file by using the segmenter, and also you need to keep track of the order of those TS files, like which file comes before the another, because these are ordered, right? So you need to have the some file which contains that order. So for that we use an index file which you can call as M3U8 file. So M3U8 file will contain all the links to your multiple TS files, and it will also specify the order in which those TS files have to be rendered in order to watch the full video. So in this way you create this particular resource out of your video file. Now once that is done, you need a distributor server. So basically you take a video file, whenever a video file is uploaded, you just use this particular encoder and segmenter to create a set of M3U8 and TS files. And now whenever a client will ask for this particular video file, what you will do is actually you will just return these TS files and the M3U8 files to the client through the distributor. So now the MP4 file will remain with you and the TS file will be sent actually to the client. And now the client will first of all get the M3U8 file like this, and once they get the M3U8 file, now they know the order in which TS files have to be requested. So they will start asking for the first TS file, then the second segment, then the third segment, and so on. So the benefit that you're getting here is that if you have downloaded the first segment and the second segment, then you can watch that much part of the video. So even if the internet connection is lost, you can still watch first and the second part, and third part may be lost, but you can still watch the other parts. So this is the benefit that you are getting here. Another benefit or another advantage of having this particular type of streaming is that you can have multiple resolutions and multiple bandwidths. You can divide or you can create the set of your TS files depending upon multiple resolutions and bandwidth. So let's say, for example, let's take the example of YouTube. On YouTube, you can watch the video in high quality, in some medium quality, or in some low quality. So what you can do is that you can take a particular video file, and then according to low quality you make multiple TS files, according to medium quality you make multiple TS files, and similarly for high quality. Now those data is saved in some M3U8 files like this. So these M3U8 files are then, now the data about these M3U8 files is stored in a master M3U8 file. So the master M3U8 file will not contain the links to TS files, but it will contain the links to the M3U8 files of a particular resolution. So this is the master M3U8. It contains these three files. Each M3U8 file, for example this one, will now contain the links to the TS files of a particular resolution. So this is the benefit that you can get, and where it helps is that it will help you in dynamic adaptive bitrate streaming. So what that means is that if you have good internet connection, that you can then you can start asking for video with high quality. But as your network start getting congested, or simply let's say as your bandwidth, available bandwidth starts decreasing, then you can go to the low bitrate stream. Basically it means that you can start asking for TS files which are of low quality. But as again your available bandwidth start increasing, you can now ask for TS files which belong to better quality. So in this way you can give overall a better user experience to the user. So these are the different advantages of this particular kind of video streaming, and yeah, that's all about it. And now let us try to see how we can download this particular kind of streaming video data through some Python code. Okay, so first of all, let me just reload this page so that I can get the link to the M3U8 file. So first of all, I need to find what is the M3U8 file that I am looking for. So here is the M3U8 file, master.m3u8. So here is the link to my M3U8 file, right? So this is my M3U8 file. So let me just copy that. So URL is equal to this. So here is the URL of my M3U8 file. So let me just import the request library so that I can send a request. R equal to requests.get URL. So I will just send a request to get this particular file. So now let me just check the text once I get this file downloaded. Now let me just try to see the text. So look at that, here we are getting some data. So this data is the data which is stored in our M3U8 file. So let me just print it so that I can get it in a better format. So look at that, this is actually containing the links to the M3U8 files depending upon the resolution. So for 480 x 270 resolution, this is the link to the M3U8 file which contains the links to all the TS files for that particular resolution. And similarly for this particular resolution we have this one, and depending upon the bandwidth and resolution we have different M3U8 file links which in turn contain all the links to their corresponding TS files. So right now I'm just going to show you a better way of rendering, or let's say extracting the data out of M3U8 files. All you need to do is you can simply open your command prompt or terminal and simply do pip install M3U8. So all you need to do is pip3 install M3U8. So I have both Python 2 and Python 3, that's why I'm using pip3. So you might need to just do pip install M3U8. So I already have that. So M3U8 is a very nice library which lets you to parse the M3U8 files. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do M3U8 underscore master, which is the file which is the which is going to be my M3U8 object. So M3U8 underscore master is equal to M3U8 dot loads. So M3U8 dot loads takes the text of any particular M3U8 file and it will convert it to a particular object which it calls as, let's see what it calls as. It calls it that M3U8 object. Okay, so now if I just want to see what data it contains, then you can simply do M3U8 underscore master dot data. So now I have the data of my M3U8 file in some dictionary format. So now in that I have playlists. So playlists contains the links to all other M3U8 files for different resolutions. So let me just do playlists. So here I have got all the playlists. So let's say I want to download the video with this particular resolution. So for that, let me just select the first playlist. So this is the first playlist and here is the link on which I have to send a request so that I can get my M3U8 file which contains all the TS files. So I will just write URI and I will get the URL. So this is the URL. So let me call it playlist underscore URL. So the playlist URL is this, and now I can send a request to this particular playlist URL to get some data. And now I will convert it to a playlist object, like playlist is equal to M3U8 dot loads. So just like we did here, we are again getting an M3U8 file. So I will just pass the content again into the m3u8.loads function so that I can parse my m3u8 data. So let us see playlist.data. Look at that, we have got the data inside our another m3u8 file for 480 x 270 resolution, and now it contains segments. So segments are actually the URLs of the different transport stream files that a particular m3u8 file contains. So we have the multiple URIs of the multiple TS files, which are basically the transport streams, which contains 10 seconds of data here. So as you can see, the duration is 10, which means that 10 seconds of data, 10 seconds of video duration data is contained in this particular file, and so on. So in this way, we have around 15 or 16 files here. So now what I want is, I want to send a request to each one of them one by one and download that data. So what I'm going to do actually is that I will simply send a request to any one of them first of all. So let me just go through segments. In the segments, let me go for the first segment, the first TS file, and let me try to see its URI. So here is a link, right? So let me just send a request to it. R is equal to requests.get, so that we can see that what we are actually going to do. So let me just copy this particular URI and let me just try to send a request and try to see what response we are getting. So we have got the response, and if I just try to see the response content, I think it's going to be a lot of binary data. Yeah, it seems like it hung up. Yeah, so we have got a lot of binary data which contains the video data of our file. So what we are going to do now is that we are going to save it in a particular file. So with open, let me call it vid1.ts, save it as binary file, save it in binary mode, and I'm just going to write it f.write r.content. So that is all we are going to do. And now if I just open my desktop, I will get the video. So here is my video, as you can see. So in the TS mode also, VLC Media Player can simply run your video files, but if you still want to convert your TS file to an MP4 file, then for that I am giving you a very simple trick or tip here, that you can simply do import subprocess. So you can simply import the subprocess module, and then all you have to do is that you can do subprocess.run, in which you can just pass a particular command which is ffmpeg. So you need to have ffmpeg if you want to convert your TS file to a MP4 file. So ffmpeg, then in the input you will pass the name of your file, which in this case is vid1.ts, and then you will also pass the output file name, which is, let's say, vid1.mp4. So this is the command that you need to run to convert a TS file to an MP4 file. So let me just run it and try to see if you are able to get an MP4 file or not. So the process was completed. So let's see vid1.mp4. Here it is. Yeah, so we are getting the vid1.mp4. So we have converted our TS file to MP4 file. And if you try to see the size of TS file is actually 618 KB, but the size of MP4 file is 797 KB. So which shows that TS file contains your data in a more compressed format as compared to MP4 format. So TS files are actually a container, and it contains a special compressed, it contains your video data in a special compressed format as compared to MP4. So that is what it's all about. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to write a very simple loop so that I can save all the TS files into a single TS file. So the interesting thing about TS files is that they can be simply concatenated just like strings to get a complete video file. You can simply concatenate the TS data to get your complete video file. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to name it as video.ts, and I'm just going to go through each segment URL at once. So for segment in playlist.data segments, so I'm just going to go through each segment at once, and then URL will be equal to segment URI. So this is our link of that particular TS file, and then we are just going to send a request to that requests.get, in which I will be passing that particular URL, and then I'll be simply saving that. And how I'm going to save that is I will be simply writing it So in this way, we have written a very simple loop in which what we are doing is we have opened a file object, and now we are running a loop, and as we are downloading each and every transport stream file, we are simply writing it one by one. So we are writing one after another by using this particular function. So if you use the f.write function multiple times, it will just keep writing one after another. So in this way, we will get a complete transport stream file. So right now, we do not have video.ts here, so just run it and let us try to see if we get all of them or not. So now it is running. And it's done. So now we have downloaded the TS file, complete TS file, and let us try to see its size. Look at that. The size of this file is 9.8 MB. So 9.8 MB is the size of my complete TS file, and it contains all the data. So let me just convert it to MP4, and we will be able to get through our goal. We will be able to achieve our goal. So video.ts will be now converted to video.mp4. So let me just rename it as video.mp4, and now let me run it. It's done now. So let us try to see the video now. So here is video.mp4. So it's a 13 MB file. So from the 9.8 MB transport stream file, we have converted it to a 13 MB MP4 file, and it now contains your complete video of 2 minutes and 26 seconds. So yeah, so in this way we were able to download a video which was being rendered in form of a stream of multiple TS files. It was being transferred through MPEG to transport stream. So that is what it was all about. This is how this particular site was using it to stream the data. And nowadays most of the sites are using this particular kind of video streaming technique. So that's why I use this particular technique to just show you in detail that how can you go about exploring that, and then you can download the videos easily. So yeah, so this was all about it. So I hope that you understood the concept of how to download the video streams by just having the direct URL to a video file, or by having a particular M3U8 file and then just downloading each transport stream file, the TS file, one by one. So I hope that concept is clear, and if you still have any doubts, you can put them in the comment section below. That's it from this video. Thanks for watching.